Voi viinäyttää paljon hommaa. Missähän muut menee?
Hei, morjesta Pertti. Sellainen juttu, että siirrettiin muu tiimi toisiin hommiin, mutta maanantai pitäisi kuitenkin olla asiakkaan dataputkit up and running ja varmaan onnistuu. Jees, kiitti.
No, sinne meni viikonlopun jallujoukaus.
Pertti hei, hae Cybercomille. Meillä nämä hommat hoidetaan porukalla ja samalla sulle jää aikaa myös kaikelle muulle tärkeälle. Cybercom. Makers of tomorrow.
Hello, and welcome. Tervetuloa. I am your local Brexit refugee, Lewis, and I'm here as, well, we're here as Robot Uprising, and across the table to me, I have the magnanimous, magnificent, marvelous Jake. Do you want to
Hello. Nice to be here in Radio DOD.
Yes.
Just came here, everyone's been awesome, and the studio is looking sweet, just cracked a blunt and ready to have a good time.
It's a very cool studio. I mean, we've been working ourselves on how to make how to make events go on COVID friendly, and Radio DOD have nailed it. Let's just say that. And on my right, I have the wonderful, whimsical, I don't have enough words in my vocabulary for that. No.
Oh, that's so unfair for me. So, hello everyone, it's your girl New, and I'm just a normal Asian who just stumbled upon this Robot Uprising thing. It's so nice to be here, and the radio looks awesome from my point of view.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to add as well that personally, I was very happy to come onto this station because hedgehogs are, in fact, my favorite animal. They are, in fact, my spirit animal, one may say.
Oh.
I mean, that's because I'm a little bit of a prick until you get to know me. But no, I've been secretly wanting a pet hedgehog for a while, but...
Why haven't you done it?
We'll have to wait and see. Sorry?
Why haven't you got one?
Why haven't I got one? Laziness.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so we are Robot Uprising. We are... how do we describe ourselves? I'd say we are probably... definitely one of Europe's largest volunteer organizations. We like to bring hackathons of all different shapes and sizes, featuring mainly in robotics. And well, as we all know, the C word, the word that shall not be mentioned, has obviously put a huge dampening on the events industry. But we here from Robot Uprising are very excited to announce we have a upcoming robotics event in June 19th, June 20th, called Microinvaders 2.0, which is a sort of we prototyped last November, Microinvaders. It's supposed to be a machine learning and computer vision based hackathon. And yeah, we're very excited to get it started in June. And Jake and New here with me are new members as well of Robot Uprising. And so, well, are you guys excited for the event?
Yeah, man. Like, I just moved from Turku to Helsinki, actually. And I was like, hey, I want to, go to a new city. I want to network with like-minded people. And I study data analytics and machine learning at the University of Turku. And I'm just doing my master's thesis now. And I figured, hey, I can move now. I'm just doing my thesis. I can do it from anywhere, right? And then I saw this Robot Uprising thing. I checked it on YouTube. I saw the production quality with the video and just the
shout out
narration. Oh, yeah. With the narration and the robots and everything. I was like, damn, I want to be a part of this. It looks cool. So I applied. We had an interview. there was a lovely, beautiful Mr. Lewis there, and I was convinced, and here I am. I'm actually seeing Lewis and Nu for the first time live, and we're doing it on the radio, so this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is a very great warm-up experience.
Yeah.
How to meet people for the first time. You go on radio
hello.
for 2 hours.
Nice to meet you all.
Oh, yes.
And what about yourself, Nu? Are you excited for the event?
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, at first I don't know anything about robot uprising, and then I heard an advertisement on the hub, and hey, like they're asking for some volunteering things, so I just signed up for it, and it turned out to be quite the field that I normally don't sign up for. So, like my crazy self would say, "Okay, let's do it," but my normal self would say, "Nah, that's not your type." So. Well, just go ahead, and I will be my crazy self today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly the kind of the people we like to have in our crew, let's be real. I mean, that's how I tried to be anyway myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to say it out now for any Radio DoD listeners out there, we are in fact we have reopened our crew applications, and on robotuprising.fi on the main page, you can sign up on our application. But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We had a new project recently called Dystopian Decisions, which all three of us took part in recently. Jake, you had a very, very cool role as a downfall agent. In fact, you were both downfall agents.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll just quickly explain what Dystopian Decisions was recently. So in Robot Uprising, we primarily in the past have done big hackathons. We're talking 300 participants. We're talking a big budget and just really cool stuff. But obviously with COVID, we have to kind of make things safer, scaled down, and use all of our favorite program, which is Zoom, of course. Shout out to all the Zoom lovers out there.
Dreadful.
So we tried to provide a alternative Zoom experience, which was a sort of choose your own adventure story, where we use Zoom breakout rooms to sort of provide different scenarios. We go into the discussion of ethics in the future of AI. One thing to really highlight with Robot Uprising is that we have our own story, our own universe, all set in 2043, which now that we think about it, isn't that too far in the future. So dystopian cities, that's our thing. 20 years time, I'm sure we'll be in a dystopian city.
Yeah.
But yeah, how was Dystopian Decisions for you guys as well?
It was actually, it was really fantastic because I used to do some theater, maybe 5 years ago or something. And I got
really?
I got to kind of use it. But I mean, I just came to this whole Robot Uprising thing. Lewis is like, "Oh, we have this Zoom experience coming. You want to participate?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like to engage in uncomfortable situations." So I said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And then he said, "Yeah, you have to take this role and you have to introduce them to this kind of dystopian setting." And I was like, "Okay, about the setting, but let me try to figure it out." So then they came in there and they had this Krisu from the creative team. He made these fantastic frames that we could use in the Zoom setting so we could have this kind of mysterious characters. Anyway, they came in there and I was, just like, "Hello, agents. Welcome to Dystopian Decisions. I need you on a mission." And I just sort of went into character there. It was really fun.
Yeah, and Nu as well. You sort of role played as local authorities as well.
Yeah.
As another downfall agent.
Yeah, I can put on some like my undercover spy for my downfall. I'm rooting for the downfall team, so shouting out for all of you there.
Yeah, that's something. Again, here with Robot Uprising, we're doing. We have two sort of factions, as we could call them, Uprise and Downfall, and we're always looking for people to sort of pick a side, support your side, and that will play a part in the upcoming event in June for Microinvaders 2.0. We have Uprise, so Go Team Uprise, which is just myself. So go me. Uprise are sort of, how would I say? They focus on human-centric technology. They are kind of like anonymous, though I know generally people don't like anonymous, so that is not a good sales pitch. But Uprise is sort of, they don't want AI leading humanity into the future. AI should stay as a tool. Whereas Downfall is all about democratic and safety of AI, using AI to really propel humanity into the future. And there's a lot of interesting discussion to be had there about, how should AI be used in the future? We've seen already in real life how AI has been implemented. Traditionally, it is just, which video do you want to look at on YouTube? Hey, I saw you saw 100 cat videos. Why don't you watch this cat?
Yeah.
That's effectively what AI is at the moment. But going into the future, you never know. We could have AI as our boss at work. We could have AI doing this whole radio program. You could be listening to an AI and you might not even know it. But yeah, I mean, I was just saying we have a question in the chat already. Can you talk about programming of morals in AI and socioeconomic implications of automation? So boiling that question down to is automating jobs a good thing, I suppose, is kind of what you're going for. I mean, let's just start off straight away because we do want to encourage this conversation. In Robot Uprising, yes, we do cool hackathons. We're doing esports kind of thing on Twitch. We are doing our own merch line, our own animation. Jake's here has been doing music for Robot Uprising. We do a lot of stuff. But we also want to start encouraging this conversation of, AI on the wider topic.
Ethical AI. And all that.
So, I mean, let's just ask you two straight away. What do you guys think about the automation of AI into the future? Its perks and its drawbacks?
The automation of AI, see, that's a very broad question. I just want to start off by saying one of my favorite ways to pass time is lie down on my bed and listen to philosophical conversations about the future of AI. So I was just listening yesterday
organization.
to Yuval Noah Harari and Daniel Kahneman, their interview about this, the implications of AI, and it's not looking too good. Let's put it that way. It's not looking too good in the age of social media giants utilizing machine learning, and the whole problem lies with humans not knowing themselves as well as the robots do, because you can gather data, and that data can be used against you in ways that you can't even notice. But generally speaking, what's your question? Am I optimistic or pessimistic?
Pretty much that. I mean, AI automating jobs in the future and taking over various industries.
Yeah.
How do you see that affecting humanity as a whole, really, in society?
I guess I could sort of condense my thoughts into, okay, we can make all these advancements and we can make our living conditions better, and we can make life quality better overall. But when humans are all about meaning, the classic book about man's search for meaning, how will you find meaning if there's nothing to do and AI will just make you feel useless because they do everything better? So I don't know. I guess my perspective is a little grim, even though I do study AI and data. But I want to understand it.
Something that impresses you. That's the human condition right there.
Indeed. But I guess that would concisely say some quick thoughts. What about you, Nu?
I mean, I think AI, in my perspective, is actually a new human evolution. Especially in my field, logistics. We can use a lot of AI in that field.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come back to the question, hey, what is the meaning of life if we don't do anything and AI do for us? I mean, in some perspective, I think if we treat AI like a human, then what would you say? Would you treat it as your friend, or what? Or you would treat it like a robot, but just high intelligent robot? What would you say?
I think I'll treat it as a friend, but maybe I'm a little biased. My friends tell me I'm a robot anyway, so.
So you're already an early robot in the myth.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. One of the questions we had that came up in our Dystopian Decisions program last weekend was this idea of, let's say, artificial intelligence becomes so smart, so develops emotional intelligence and sympathy and empathy, and can even act as your own manager, as your own boss, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then do you start getting onto the ethical ground of, do artificial intelligence have rights the same a human would? Well, maybe not the same as a human would. That's quite extreme, but you never know. But things like, if AI has emotional intelligence, can it be considered abuse to restrict it from using the network, or to put it on standby, or to say, no, sorry, you're not playing World of Warcraft all day today. I need you to do my Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Can that be considered sort of abusive behavior towards artificial intelligence in the future?
Yeah. These are good questions, but we are making assumptions here that we're able to capture that human experience with computation. And I've participated, let's not say the holy C word once again, but back in the day, I participated in a lot of business events and stuff, and they're always talking about this AI evolution and whatnot. And there definitely are immense changes that will happen and transformations. But I still think that the conversation is focused on the wrong thing. We're talking about AGI and consciousness projected into robots, when realistically, I think the more important thing is that how do we integrate these AI applications into our life? You know what I mean? Like, how do we navigate this new world of data and machine learning? I think that's a more important question. However, philosophically, I think it's a very interesting concept, AGI. I'm actually thinking about Mr. Skynet. He says AI knows a very superficial side of us very well, but no, they can never know us, not the real us. They make simplistic assumptions such as that I would mean what I say, whereas I say stuff in order to affect others. Not to display what I really think. How do you?
I mean, straight away, my counter argument to that is, I mean, isn't it the same with people anyway? Do you ever really know the real you? That's a bit cliche, but your friends, for example, I mean, the way you perceive your friends is very different to the way their friends may perceive them and to the way that person themselves perceives themselves. So yes, artificial intelligence builds up its image of a person purely based on the data it's provided. But that's exactly the same way people judge other people. You know, this idea of first impression, the way you judge somebody immediately based on their appearance, their mannerisms, that is very similar to what an artificial intelligence would do anyway. Though, in fact, an artificial intelligence could really take in data across somebody's whole life period and use that to come up with a better evaluation, such as yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, instead of treading into sort of religious territory, but you know, heaven, hell, purgatory could really just be an artificial intelligence boxing people into different groups. But yeah, it's dangerous ground and quite scary when you put it that way. But just reading what Skynet said as well, that's not a counter argument. You're right. Nobody knows each other. People have a very skewed view of others. That is true. Yeah. But yeah, again, I suppose artificial intelligence, it's a bit different to people, but obviously you could always manipulate the data that you are inputting. You could paint people in a better picture by feeding it biased data.
Yeah, but like I also have a question, like can you program AI, but like you get rid of the emotional data, like so that it just make the decision based on like logic data and not anything based on the emotional, because I think we human, when we make decisions, we use a lot of our emotion to make decision. But AI, if we get rid of that field, then maybe it's better. Like we just use it as a tool. And so what do you say about that?
That's a fair point. Like, but when we're talking about human intuition and decision making, ultimately it's millions of years of evolution and everything just turning into one computation in time when you decide something. But maybe it's a bit hard for me to answer that question specifically. But in terms of what Lewis just elaborated on, and in the chat, he said that, wait, what? Can you repeat that? The last part of that question?
Nobody knows each other. People have a very skewed view of others.
Yeah. He's saying that the AI will have a wrong picture of us. Okay, sure, we can go into philosophy of how do we imagine others and how do we see ourselves. But my argument is that the AI will actually know us better than we know ourselves. If the AI has data, there's incredible transformations and advancement being made in genetics and gene technology and neuroscience. And if we can understand and interpret the data we get from genetics and from neuroscience and the predictions they can make with that data, it will be beyond our understanding. And that's why it's scary.
Yeah, and I guess another point, yes, Skynet has pointed out that would only work if AI has access to our real thoughts. That is true. This entire argument, this entire foundation of what we believe AI could do very much depends on how it gets access to its data. Obviously, it'd be very difficult to provide somebody's entire life experiences through a Python code to an AI. You know, you can't really boil it down to that. We're taking many bounds and leaps in human knowledge and scientific advancement in order to fuel this data-hungry machine that would be a a judgmental robot, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these are sort of interesting things to think about in the future. Maybe we'll have some of this discussion as well for Micro Invaders 2.0.
Yeah.
We'll have a panel. So
How's it looking for Micro Invaders 2.0?
yeah, so we're very excited for this event. We have 8 participating teams and a solo participant, which is a very exciting thing. For the previous Micro Invaders that we held in November, you can actually check it out on our YouTube channel, Robot Uprising HQ. We have all of the videos of our previous event uploaded there. But yes, Micro Invaders previously, because of the COVID situation, we couldn't really accept any single player participants because we wanted to, we could only accept a limited number of teams, and therefore we wanted each team to have the most number of members so we can really include as many people as possible in the COVID safe ideal environment. But moving forward into June, and well, you never know how COVID's going to go. But yeah, we have then 30 participants taking part. And each team gets 2 robots. They have to be autonomous, and they take part in what's essentially a robot push block game. They have to push these cores into the goals, and all of this will be streamed directly to Twitch, the entire event. We have our own custom overlay, so the robots will have their team's logos. We're trying to give it as really good esports sort of style.
Yeah.
And we are also looking at potentially having a venue directly in Pasila, which would be very exciting and very
Part of the lore too, isn't it?
yeah, part of the lore. In fact, the way Robot Uprising left off in 2019 with the story is this Pasila World Tower in 2043 collapsing and setting off creating a blackout, wiping out all electronics and network across Helsinki. And given the tower was in Pasila, it's very cool that the venue we are currently in discussions with is to have a venue in Pasila. So it's going to make great footage to really create the world building. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be involved with. You know, we have lots of teams to organize, and we create our own set ourselves, our own animation for the stream. A lot of cool things, really.
Yeah.
Oh,
Lewis.
wait. Someone is asking for like signing up now.
Brute Justice. For the Final Fantasy fans out there, I have a feeling that's a Final Fantasy reference because that's a character in Final Fantasy. But anyway, Brute Justice, is it possible to sign up now? Me and 4 friends were really keen on joining this Robot Uprising. If you want to join the crew, anybody is welcome to join at any point. The application is open on our website, robotuprising.fi. For the competition, however, you can join, yes, but this would be a discussion because the official team application form is now closed. But that's because the event was originally going to be in April in a really crazy COVID safe situation. We were going to stream from 3 different locations simultaneously using 5G. Very complicated. But then the government were discussing about restricting all non-essential movement, which, as anybody in events knows, that makes events impossible.
Yeah.
So we pushed it into June. So therefore, yes, we could accept new teams. Just simply go to the Robot Uprising website and you can contact us, send a message to info@robotuprising.com, however ways you like, or you can join the crew. What questions would you ask from highly sophisticated AI?
That's
Ooh,
that's a nice question.
That is another good question.
Okay.
Yeah, so who wants to go first?
Exactly.
This kind of question takes some time to think.
My nightmares. Okay. Baldur asks what kind of questions you would ask from highly sophisticated AI.
Ooh.
Damn. Gonna have to, absorb that for a little bit.
Well, we'll get back to that question in a minute. I think we, so on this program as well with Robot Uprising, kindly from Jake and Vivid Music Studios, got some very cool tracks to play. Would like to actually start sharing you some music. And so we got the first track coming up. If you want to introduce it, Jake.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you, Lewis, for that introduction from Vivid Music. We just released the EP a few weeks ago, a little bit. At Vivid Music, we like to do music from different genres with some hip hop, R&B, and soul. So during our radio broadcast, you're going to get a little taste of it from our EP called The Endeavor, which we released around a month ago. And our first track is called Tokyo. Enjoy.
Very cool.
Standing here in the moonlight, don't know where I guess I gotta go. It's not enough. I got love for my people, all I really need. Yeah. But things can change real fast, and I got to be ready.
Posin kautta. Radio Diadi.
Kello 3.
Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking around. We're going to quickly follow up with that question. What would you ask a sophisticated AI? I would ask it, hey, do you want to join Robot Uprising? We need some extra members. No, I've seen you've had some pretty good answers in the chat, actually. I mean, asking the AI itself, what would you ask a highly sophisticated AI? That's a very interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
And also it boils down to how sophisticated is this AI? Is it self-aware? Is it trying to beat the system? Who knows? I don't know. There's a lot we could ask about it, but hey, how did you guys like the music? I'm a big fan of Jake's music, actually.
I'm flattered.
It made me think of Tokyo. The track was called Tokyo, and I was in Tokyo a few years ago. I want to go back, but COVID's stopping us. But yeah, what was your inspiration for that song, Jake?
Inspiration for that song, let's see. It was
Tokyo.
Tokyo. It was sort of like with an EP, you try to project different states of mind. Okay, this might sound cliche, but with our 3 tracks, we wanted to project 3 different feelings. The first one, Tokyo, is kind of like being in a new city, big buildings, dark, alone, kind of lost, disoriented. That's the sort of feeling that
Sounds
we try
like
to...
our dystopian
Exactly.
Robot Uprising City.
Yeah. And with the other songs, we're going to show some other emotions, and maybe we can figure them out from the ones that we'll play without me saying them.
Yeah, we'll see. But hey, I mean, I figured let's just talk a bit about ourselves a little bit more. Let's pump that ego. No, but what are you up to these days? That's very
Wow, just
dull
out
way
of the blue.
How's it going? Did you come here often?
Yeah, I'm good. Like, what else can I say? Like, I mean,
Who are you?
well, like
Identity crisis?
probably existential crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, so I'm just a student. I mean, like not student anymore. I just graduate and actually,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank
Congratulations.
you.
Yeah,
A bit
yeah.
too late.
Congratulations.
Just say thank you.
Well, that's what I got now these days. But yeah, like I have been here living in Finland for 5 years. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, it's like now I think back, it's actually a long
Puhutaan nyt
time.
suomea.
Ei.
Ei.
Vähän. No, don't question me on this Finnish bit. Like it makes me feel like, oh no, I'm not good, you know. But yeah, like Finland, I mean, I was my original is from Vietnam, and now I moved to Finland for 5 years. It's been a crazy journey for me, and yeah, like I don't know what's coming up next in the next 5 years, but now I'm meeting up with this guy for this amazing event. So let's see what I can do here.
Yeah, let's make Robot Uprising big enough that we can all just stay in Robot Uprising forever. And then we'll actually create the 2043 city ourselves.
Yeah.
Take it in the dystopian direction. But yeah, and Jake, yourself, I mean, you moved from Turku to Helsinki recently.
Yeah, I moved from Turku. I was born in the US. I moved here. I'm the youngest of the brothers, so we moved to Finland when we were very young. I was around 4 years old, and I lived in Turku for almost 2 decades. As grim as that might sound, even though I had an excellent childhood, it was very fun.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm doing my master's thesis, even though it's taken my supervisor a long time to give me a topic. But right now, I'm really intrigued about applying AI into the medical domain. So you have, like, for example, cancer diagnostics. You have images that physicians they have to analyze them to make some kind of prognosis about a patient. But then using AI tools, you can automate that and say, okay, you can classify this tumor as benign or malignant or whatever based with AI. So that's something I'm doing now, really intrigued by it. But yeah, I just moved to Helsinki and I'm having a great time. I'm living in Ruoholahti with my buddies and looking forward to the summer. You know, I just read an article today that officially the restrictions are done with.
Oh, yay.
And, oh, yeah, exactly.
I don't believe that.
I'm a fan of cafes and restaurants. I like good food. I love tacos. I want to eat some tacos.
I mean, that's the best way to celebrate Vappu. I have not celebrated Vappu myself before, but from what I've heard, eating tacos and getting drunk is pretty much the heart of it.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I've only been in Finland now for a year and a half, I think. My girlfriend is Finnish, so shout out to her. Hey, Lida. And well, yeah, I mean, I've been here a year and a half and I love it here. I actually came here from Moscow. I was a tutor in Moscow, and before that, living in the UK. But yeah, I mean, now I'm drawn into Robot Uprising as well. And well, I mean, I love every second of it.
How's your experience been? You've been here 4.5 years. You came here and...
I've been here for a year. What? Sorry?
you said a year and a half, right?
Yeah, year and a half.
Yeah. How's your general experience been?
I really like it. I mean, Finland, I just really like the forest and the lakes. I like to go swimming, and the islands are good.
You do Avanto, right?
Sorry?
You do Avanto.
Avanto, yes.
Yeah.
Avanto.
My man.
And I've been studying Finnish for, I don't know, about 8 or 9 months now. So I really should be speaking Finnish more. So
Yeah, maybe next time we will come up with like Finnish Robot Uprising radio session. Is that challenging?
Robotti ylösnousu or something.
Yeah, so the next segment we're going to do entirely in Finnish. Sorry, dude. No, I wouldn't be able to keep up either. But hey, I mean, so yeah, as I've said before already, in Robot Uprising, we have a lot of cool stuff that we'd like to be working on. And we have Microinvaders 2.0 coming up for those who just tuned in, which is an event in June that we're very looking forward to presenting. But also, we do just have constantly this big dream, this big goal of doing other grand projects in the future. And we are hoping that as we go into the new post-pandemic era, we're hoping to start looking into doing big events again, having startups take part to showcase their tech, having larger companies take part to sort of have recruitment booths. And most importantly, I think to me at least, and to I think Jacob and New, you probably agree as well, we would really like to sort of be there for first year students in particular moving forward into the future, because we all understand well, for all university students really, but particularly those going into their first year. The pandemic has been pretty hard for people to sort of network and connect with each other. So we are hoping to come August, September to sort of launch alongside the new incoming year group as well for international students in particular as well, because obviously they've come to a new country and it's hard to meet new people. So yeah, we're always happy to have more hands on board and to get involved with new projects.
Definitely. Yeah.
As we are secretly working on, we have our own Robot Uprising merch line coming out. So buy some face masks. Wait, we're not going to need face masks anymore.
Oh,
this
yeah.
was a terrible
Don't
design.
say that.
No, don't say that too soon.
But yeah, I've been in Robot Uprising for 3 weeks, maybe a month. I don't know. I can't count, but it's been fantastic. It's 10 out of 10 from my way. You get to kind of utilize there's creative freedom, right? First, me and my friend Matu were supposed to make some tracks for these different factions and the lore and maybe for an animation. And we sort of thought we might have some constraints. Okay, like is there some specific theme or specific adjectives or something they're looking for? But they just told us, hey, well, here's the narrative and here's the lore. Whatever you feel like doing, that's enough. And you give the time you got. So that's one good thing. I have other things going on. And when I have time, I'm able to contribute. So definitely, you mentioned about first-year students, networking. I mean, first year of university is definitely networking. You need to go to events and meet people and hear different stories from different people. So,
gosh, now I want to be a first-year student. Yeah, I wish I met your guy earlier.
Yeah, it's quite well known that, especially here in Finland, first-year international students, it's very hard to network and to really integrate into a country. I myself, I don't study here. I graduated a while ago. But I do understand that, for international people in Finland, it is very hard to get to know people. So we'd like to sort of act as that hub going forward into the future. So you don't have to be a programmer or whatever to really get involved with Robot Uprising. You can be, we have graphic designers. We're looking for marketing all the time. Presenters, actors, writers, because we do our own universe, anything like that goes. Or you can just be some guy like myself who just turns up. That's also welcome. But yeah, so we are, let's just say very optimistic going forward. COVID has been rough for everybody and onwards we go. So we're just going to go into another music break in a second. Jake, do you want to talk about the next song that we're going to play?
Yeah. Before I do that, I'd like to address Baldur's question. What is the most ambitious robotics project
yes,
you know of
Nice.
predicting, or know of or predict happening? You got any comments on that? Any sneak peeks?
There is always the Atlas thing. I think it's Atlas going around on, say, LinkedIn, for example, showing robots there, like doing backflips and picking. I think that's quite ambitious. I don't really see that being useful in the future. But the thing is, the best thing about robotics is that they can obviously do tasks that they're trained for with incredible efficiency. But what robots aren't good at are learning new things that humans are very good at doing.
Yeah.
So in terms of the most ambitious robotics project that I predict happening, the Mars landing Starship, that's a good idea. But to be honest,
I think it's Jeff Bezos. His plans.
Yeah.
I saw a video on YouTube, and once again, I study AI, but it creeped me out. All right, because he had this kind of Zeppelin, like an air balloon, and then it had just like 1,000 or a few thousand drones just coming out of it. It's like I don't know if you ever saw a pregnant spider just get collapsed and its egg sac just released a bunch of spiders.
It was the image for all the listeners.
Yes, it was a Zeppelin that released all these drones. And it was creepy because it's just a logistics, like a Zeppelin prototype unit that goes in the air and then it distributes mail or whatever. So I don't know. Industry-wise, I think like logistics, Jeff Bezos with his 2 horns, he's going to be going crazy.
Yeah, there's already one robot who's sort of ruling the world anyway, Mark Zuckerberg. But you heard that from us. But yeah, I think, to be honest, any sort of advanced robotics will probably get deployed in the military first. Let's be
honest.
Yeah. They probably already have it. Maybe they have robotic super soldiers, Terminators that we don't know about yet and are on the way. But other than that, I think we can all agree, especially here in Finland, the postal services, Posti needs some updating.
Can I comment something?
Yeah.
Because I ordered chairs from Jysk probably 3 weeks ago. There's a Jysk right next to my place, and they don't take orders from the spot. You had to order them from online. And Posti has had them for like 2 weeks. I called them twice already. Something needs to change. AI, come here, save us. We need transformation in this industry. It's not working.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, though, there's always other sorts of AI works going on as well. I think you mentioned last weekend about sort of automated businesses done entirely through AI. Not robotics quite, but obviously you could eventually have. Well, I mean, factories already are primarily run by robots, but I'm starting to think of sort of actual robotic humanoid figures who even do all the other tasks.
So if we're looking a little further, yeah.
And also in the creative industries, people like to say that the creative industries are going to be untouched by robotics and AI, but, well, there already are AI developed out there that can actually create graphics and artwork that can pretty well replicate or innovate on something a human design comes up with.
Yeah.
So I think would start be seeing like robotic designed cities in the future. But that's still a long way off. At the moment, it's just what cat video do you want to watch next?
Yeah.
But hey, yeah, sure. So let's go into the second music break. What song's on next?
Yeah, our next song is called Blue by our artist collective called Lucy. And maybe from the name and definitely from the song vibes, you're going to be able to tell what kind of emotion we're trying to capture with this track. But without further ado, enjoy.
There's an increase in space in between me and my sound. The exhilaration got me going around, ready to hit that beach town. Come on. But I said it was okay, I'll give it a try. Packed my shit and said goodbye. What if I don't like what I find? But then I was calmed by the birds in the sky. Noticed all the traffic that was on my mind. With me and the sea intertwined. I know the open ocean can be unkind. It's that smooth. Got me feeling free, gonna do it my way. I already see this is my distance. I was driving on the highway far from home. I could feel it in my bones, something's wrong. Hadn't really seen a scene with some sea in the past weeks, not recently. I need the waterside breeze on my skin. Beach water boogie make my head spin. Got sand, skies, love within. Goddamn, where do I begin? I see a crab, then I act like Attenborough. Had my birth on this earth long ago. Starting ancient fires, playing the bongo. Now I'm living life in the archipelago. But I really don't see another way. I need to hear the crashing of the goddamn waves. Swim by the water like a stingray. Read the sunset each and every day. Yeah. It's that smooth. Got me feeling free, gonna do it my way. I already see this is my distance. Got me feeling free, gonna do it my way. I already see this is my day.
No niin, annapa sitten huudu tänne.
Radio Diodi.
Oli kyseessä sitten tekniikan kehto, avaruustekniikka, alusvaatekerta tai lakiteksti. Tek on aina mukana. Tekniikan akateemiset.
Okay, and we're back again. Thank you very much for the second track, Jake.
Thank you.
People seem to like it in the chat, tuning in straight from the Archipelago.
Flattery.
Very cool. Yeah, Nu actually mentioned just while we were on the break, she's not here at the moment, but she mentioned, in the future you may even see robotics used as a sort of boyfriend and girlfriend, future partners and friends. I mean, if you've seen Blade Runner at all, that is obviously an explored concept. What do you think about that, Jake? Do you think that's something that people would actually be on board with in the future?
I think they will be on board with it. People are lonely already. So
yeah, I believe in Japan, I mean, not robots, but they're already applying like a chatbot you can have as a sort of,
chatbot
as a partner, which is interesting. I mean, it's certainly an option, but I wouldn't really say it's a solution for the current state of society, is it? You're not very good at interacting with people. Don't worry, just use the chatbot. That's not really actually helping.
But none of the things we get are solutions, are they? Facebook, Instagram, everything, they're just optimized for your attention.
That's deep.
It's all conspiracy.
Yeah, that is deep.
But I definitely see a big market with this whole relationships and bots and just sort of providing emotional support and stuff like that, because these chatbots, they are getting more evolved. And if you're talking about robotics, you can use your own imagination where you want to, but I want to ask you, actually, you and the audience, Lewis and Nu, how do you feel about that personally? Would you have a hypothetical robotic boyfriend or a girlfriend, or
well, let's just hope my girlfriend isn't listening to this conversation. But no, actually, no, I would say I am against it, because it depends how good the AI is in many ways. I mean, obviously, if we're talking about very sophisticated AI that can replicate a human in every sense, then maybe. But the problem I more have with it is going into the future is this idea of ownership of AI and these sorts of systems. Like, for example, if you have a robot boyfriend, girlfriend, is it like a robot that you order from a company and it's like the latest model?
Haven't you seen Black Mirror?
I haven't, actually. Maybe I should. I'd be more informed about this. But, that then kind of puts me off the idea, because it's not personal. It's not exclusive. It's a model that is developed by a company, obviously, and sort of anybody can buy it and have it. And to me, that's then much more of like a fashion statement as opposed to an actual meaningful connection with something. But you don't know, obviously. The service could be very personal. You could sort of design your entire partner and so on. I mean, for those who've played Detroit Become Human as well, a game, kind of explores this concept a little bit. You have the main characters are like, they're robots, and you buy them in a store, but they're things like nannies, house cleaners. One's a sort of substitute art student for an old man who wants to continue his passion. And so maybe in those ways, not personal friendship connections, but employer relationships,
Sounds very Uprise.
And maybe I would consider that. But personal connection, no, I don't see a robotic boyfriend, girlfriend ever working.
Yeah.
A chatbot, though, could, because it's not a physical. Then again, there are people out there who would. So.
But then it depends.
What about you, Nu?
Like, I have watched, I don't know if you have watched the movie Her.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, like, it's about like a guy, like he's super lonely, and then he fell in love with a chat box. Like, basically, like, she just talked to him with a human voice, like very feminine human voice. And he fell in love with her because he was so lonely. Like, I mean, I think like I somehow I don't like to have like a robot boyfriend.
What if they don't burp, they don't fart, they do none of that, but they're loving, they're caring?
Yeah, it's like perfect.
Yeah,
it's an upgrade.
But isn't it weird? Like, I mean, it all boils down to your emotion, like of how you picture of your loved one, isn't it? Like the touch and like their imperfection, something like some cliche things like that. But like for robot, if that's an AI and it's so developed, like it can be like another person of me. Like, who wants another like version of me like to date with?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question, because it really boils down to as well as well, humans aren't perfect. And so if you were to have a AI robot boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, partner, whatever, that is perfect, that could also then play on your own mental health, for example, and would affect the relationship. I imagine going into the future, I don't think there's necessarily a problem with how the robot fulfills its role. It probably could fulfill its role very well, better than most humans could in that situation. But I don't think people themselves would be accepting of it, because you would have to you'd have to break down so many barriers for that relationship to work that I think it ultimately would sort of sour the relationship in some way.
Ultimately, I think that, we're talking about what kind of behavior it might imitate with this kind of robot boyfriend or girlfriend. It all depends on the data. What data has it been trained on? What biases are present in the data? So it is interesting topic. Hard to sort of theorize or talk about.
Yeah, I just have like a crazy question in my mind. Like, if you date like a robot boyfriend or girlfriend, would you cheat on them? Like the same way you cheat with like your like real boyfriend or girlfriend?
It's a robot. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask, like, does the robot experience emotional trauma, emotional damage? Again, this goes back to this situation of, do robots have rights, for example?
Yeah.
If you cheat on your robotic partner, I mean, sure, from a human perspective, no damage is done. It's not a real thing. But obviously, if this robotic partner is as human could be, then obviously the robot would respond in a way that is emotionally hurt and damaged. I mean, would robots need therapy?
Yeah. Oh.
Depending on what data you use.
You got me a business idea, right?
A robotic therapy. I mean, do you just revert to factory settings?
That's what they say. Turn it off and on again. Works well.
Yeah, get into an argument and you just, turn off your partner. Like, okay, you're done for now.
Actually, I wanted to backtrack to Baldo's question here, if you guys don't mind. He asked how concerning is it that AI will be used in warfare, or do you think it might make less destructive decisions than humans?
I mean, it already is used in warfare, isn't it?
It is, indeed.
In terms of precision-guided missiles, so on and so forth. But how concerning is it? Was it be less destructive, make less destructive decisions than humans? I mean, that's an interesting question, because ultimately, at this point, the way AI is used in military is still a tool that's used to guide the commander, the general, the operator's decisions. So effectively, the AI is less destructive than a human because it is more accurate. But the decision still ultimately comes down to the person. If we're talking about warfare between what's effectively two AIs, then I mean, you could then argue it would be more destructive, because in an AI's goal, nothing other than total annihilation would be considered victory. Yeah. An AI, as we understand it right now, wouldn't be very good at considering sort of the political nature of warfare. Like, for example, how do you win a war? You can subdue the other nation. You could put trading restrictions on it. Like, there's lots of ways to win a war. But an AI might just consider, well, total annihilation is the best way to go.
Yeah. But like under the same topic, it is very scary, because they do say that 21st century is the golden age of AI and the arms race in AI, the AI arms race. Different governments, they're all in a race now, a rat race on who gets power and who develops and makes the greatest advancements in AI. And there's a problem there, because when you're developing AI, you might make a system that is very fragile and not trustworthy and all these kind of factors. But then, because they're thinking about opposing governments and they're all just trying to get there first without thinking what the implications are. You know what I mean? So in terms of AI in military, Lewis already said that it's already in use, all their missile guided systems. And then they also have this networks drone. You all have heard about the drone strikes in recent years and whatnot. But how concerning will it be? Will it be more destructive than humans? Yeah, it's a matter of if goals align or not, I suppose. Is it not?
Yeah, I mean, the AI, as we said, in a robot's perspective, I mean, lots of science fiction novels have explored the idea of AI taking control, and then the easiest solution is to say wipe out humanity, and humanity is a plague on the planet, and yada yada. We suck. Robots are better. But I mean, a lot of science fiction novels do sort of explore this concept of how robots would most likely
Yeah.
consider eliminating humanity as the easiest solution for anything. But, if we then go on to this idea of having AI actual foot soldiers and so on, that's a really interesting thing to consider as well, because obviously from a human standpoint, you would think, well, not sending humans into war would be the best outcome.
Exactly.
However,
Yeah,
unemployment would be
however.
massive. The army's made up.
U.S. government, hold up.
But then also, looking at this idea of driverless cars that are coming into play, it's already hard for them to decide what's a signpost and what's a person wearing a shirt that is a signpost. How do you make these decisions? Does the car stop or does it run you over? And that's just with a car that all it has to do is go forward, backwards, slow down, speed up. If you're then talking about something as advanced as an actual foot soldier that has to make decisions on actions to do with buildings, explosives, machinery, anything, then you're looking at a far more complex situation. And circling that back round to Microinvaders 2.0 in June, our robots just have to decide to push balls into goals. So if you want that sort of AI in military, I think... I think something else would have wiped humanity out before that point. Some, Trump 3.0 pressing the button.
Yeah.
But
like the conversation around AI, people are talking about AGI and fully automated systems. But when I read the articles and listen to different conventions that they had, it's more about the developments are going towards so-called human in a loop. When you have a data source that has potentially useful patterns and it does its analytics processes, always in the end, you will have a human sort of confirming it, right? So a lot of the hard labor will be done by AI, but then, like I said, human in the loop, in the end, the decision will be confirmed and validated by human. For example, if you have a medical application where you are trying to diagnose cancer or whatever, it will have its intrinsic processes of where it will do step A and do step B and whatever. And then in the end, it will say, okay, this is a malignant tumor. But then a physician, they can skip all the analyzing part and they come to the last part where the physicians can say, yeah, this is indeed malignant. You know what I mean? So these systems will likely not be fully automated, at least not quite yet.
Yeah. And also then even if it does do the job better and can make the decisions better, it's then very related to this question by Bob Amias about getting an AI with therapy. It's then a matter of how much do you trust the decision that's made. Just as obviously a far-flung example, but if you just Google, my heart rate has increased, you're then going to get told, well, you're having a heart attack. And so, if you then got therapy from an AI, and similar with medical diagnoses and so on, the AI can only make a decision based on the data that's provided. And so therefore, it's quite natural for anybody in any situation to question the AI's decision, no matter how correct it may or may not be, simply because it can only make that decision based on the data provided. And that data provided ultimately would have to come from some external source, which you may just straight up disagree with.
Yeah.
What if this medical bot was using thousands of Google search page results to decide whether you had arrhythmia or not?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would trust that. And same with therapy. I think it would be very easy to sort of, no matter what the AI said, you would, let's say the AI said, oh, you have ADHD and depression. And you'd be like, yeah, well, who doesn't? But no, you'll say like, how did you come to this decision? Have you listened to what I've said? Yada, yada. You just wouldn't actually disagree with it because it's not an AI. No matter how rational it may be, it's not a being that we would perceive as rational.
Yeah.
A person, you can have an honest heart-to-heart conversation and somebody can explain their opinion. And even though it's opinion, it's not factually based, you're more likely to believe it.
Sure.
Because you have more faith in that.
Yeah.
Sure, surely. But still, AI systems might be gathering, biometric data from the brain and stuff. A lot of, you're talking about depression. I know we're talking about depression and whatnot. You can see these from data. So humans the robots can see things that humans can't. And there might be indeed a clash like what you described, because if the AI says, okay, you have this and that, you're asking why. Okay, it can give you the data, but is it convincing like a real human? But wait, what do you think, Nu? Would you how was AI therapy sound to you?
I'm just rethinking about the whole picture of this. Like, if an AI become a therapist, like, does it mean like there is someone like have to guarantee like this AI is certified as a therapist, and who gonna do that? Like, who can certify that this AI is the therapist for your broken heart and stuff?
I see. Well, okay, assuming that this AI was trained on, you had the best clinical or clinician in time or in history,
Okay.
and all of his conversations were recorded, and all of the data from his interactions and the outcomes were all recorded, and then this AI was trained to maximize and do as well as the clinician. And when you do metrics, it shows that it actually is performing as good. And if that's the validation, if that's what we're assuming here, how about then? Like,
So does it mean like this AI is certified as a human who can perceive the human pain and then can cure the human pain? Like,
it can at least perceive the human pain, if assuming that the data reflects what your pain is.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, as well, this idea of, let's imagine you were at war and you had an AI comrade, an AI soldier fighting alongside you. I mean, you could get real deep here for any Radio DoD listeners, but you could ask you, for example, how would it feel if an AI friend or soldier or whatever sort of sacrificed itself for you? Or let's say it was you or 10 AI bots on the lives on the line. Go into some deep trolley problems for those trolley problem fans.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you can go so deep in this, but
Yeah.
anyway, just want to, there was Papa Me has also asked, where can I find the music, Jake?
Oh.
If you want to.
Yes. Actually, you guys want to hear a funny story? We made this artist collective, and we're like, okay, what should we call ourselves? We have these 3 tracks, and we're like, let's call it Lucy. We're going to call it Lucy. But you know why? Because Lucy is this skeleton that they found back in, I don't know if it was the 50s or 60s. It was the sort of first bones that they found from human ancestors that they started to walk upright first, right? These bones are called Lucy.
Okay.
And we're like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's call it Lucy. But hey, that's pretty generic, right? But then when we put it on Spotify, uploaded, there were so many mistakes when you upload it, and there's so many other Lucys. So our distributor kind of put our tracks under someone else's name, and that was kind of funny. But anyway, that's a little story for you guys. Anyway, you can find the track. It's under the artist collective called Lucy, and our EP is called The Endeavor. You could probably find it on Spotify just searching The Endeavor. If not, you can go on our Instagram, Vivid Music Studios, and you can find some links from there. But really happy if you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. You say British me, I just thought Lucy was a Beatles reference, Lucy and Scode.
The Lucy Beatles reference to Lucy is a reference to the original Lucy.
Oh, so it's a reference to a reference to a reference to a reference to a reference.
Reference inception.
That's the end of this program.
Yeah, I like how it turns out like we are just talking about AI and how we have, as a human, revolutionized to this point, and then you talk about Lucy, which is this bone, which is a skeleton that was found like how long was it?
Oh, maybe 80 years ago or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember specifically, but they found it in the last century.
Yeah.
And it was like the sort of, it's considered a hallmark of human evolution because they had some proof and evidence that it was standing upright, as well as it had increased brain size, so sort of increase in intelligence with a correlation of standing upright. You know how we have the good old story of humans standing upright and human intelligence. So yeah, I mean, people are gonna look at artist name, they're gonna say Lucy. Okay, who the hell is that? But that's the backstory. Now you know.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to go to a pre-recorded segment with our AI lead in Robot Uprising very soon. His name's Juha. He's kind of the key programming architect behind Robot Uprising to really to make what we want to do possible. So he works with the Unity engine to work on our machine learning algorithms. But yes, we'll have a 15-minute segment with Juha that we pre-recorded in the Robot Uprising studio a while ago. But yeah, so thank you very much. We'll be back in a bit.
So hello, I'm Juha, and I'm a human being, so not a artificial general intelligence. So you are talking to a real human being. Hey, let me tell you more about the tech side we have here in Robot Uprising. So I'll go through what we have in the game itself, how the game itself works from tech point of view, and then I'll tell a little about the machine learning we are using and doing here in Robot Uprising. So let's first start from the game itself, the physical game. So on top of the arena, we have a Raspberry Pi with a camera, and then the camera is streaming all the time video. And then on top of the robots on the arena, we have Aruko marker. So that Aruko marker is you can think of it as a QR code. So that kind of helps us detect from the image where the robots are, what's their location, and also the rotation. Then we have the balls. So there's like different colors for the balls, which are like really different. So then we are detecting those by color. So back to the image stream. So we are using a GStreamer in the Raspberry Pi to stream the images from the top camera. And then we have kind of we can call it a backend now. So we have an example code done with Python and an OpenCV. And then that OpenCV receives that GStreamer stream and then parses images from that stream. So I think we're doing at the moment like one image per 100 milliseconds. So it's not like really live parsing at the moment. We would need to have a lot of power for that. But then the OpenCV then detects the Aruko marker from the image, and then also the balls by the colors of the ball. And then now it's kind of the user's own thing to kind of how to go forward from this point. So we've given you a stream of images, and if you want, you can use this our example code for the OpenCV, and then you have kind of locations and rotation of the robots, and then also the balls, and then also the enemy robots. And then most of the people at the moment do this kind of heuristic logics, if-else logics, which are like non-neural network based logics. And then your logic should be sending then via the Wi-Fi commands to the actual robot on the arena. And then the actual robot has an ESP32 kind of a chip in it. It's something between an Arduino and Raspberry Pi. And it's up to you. You can also kind of do the C++ programming for the ESP32, but we have already kind of ready-made libraries and ready-made programs for you to how to send the commands. The commands we send to the robot from our backend will be just the track speeds for both the left and the right track. So you can then do whatever with those you want. And the basic game is that then the robot moves a bit. We take a new image from the camera on top of the arena. The image is sent back to the backend. The backend does whatever you want it to do. You come up with the track speeds for left and right track. You send it back to the robot with the Wi-Fi, and then the robot moves, and so the kind of basic game loop goes. And we have provided all the source code. So for the Raspberry Pi on top of the arena, we have repos in our GitHub organization. It's github.com/robotuprising_HQ. Google for that, so you can then kind of get the exact URL for that. So we have the Raspberry Pi software in there, how to kind of set the camera. We have examples for the backend, how to use the OpenCV and capture the locations, rotations of the robots and the balls. And then there's also the ESP32 software, how to kind of the C++ stuff for the robot itself. So it's pretty easy to set things up. We have guides to, throughout the whole journey how to do this. Then kind of a bit about the machine learning point. So we're kind of like machine learning style and kind of interacting with the robots. So as said, most of the people use this heuristic logics, if else programming, but we are seeing more and more people go to the machine learning as there's kind of a lot of potential there. One kind of video you could watch is this OpenAI's hide and seek video. So that kind of gives, I think that is kind of a motivational video for doing this reinforcement learning style. Machine learning, it shows you kind of a simple game. There's seekers, agents called seekers, and then agents called hiders. And then the seekers try to find the hiders, and the hiders, of course, try to hide. And then there's some sort of a simple environment, walls, and then kind of objects the agents can kind of take and place them wherever they want in the arena. And then that video kind of shows you how they, when you train more and more, at beginning the agents, don't understand at all what they're supposed to do, but little by little they come up with all kinds of tactics, and then the further you go, they actually start to be really good in what they do, and they come up with all kinds of team play tactics to play against the other team's tactics, and it gets really, really cool when you train it. Of course, training it has surely taken some time, but yeah, with also a little bit less resources, we can already kind of make the robot move and do some nice tricks. And so search for the OpenAI hide and seek video if you kind of want to have a motivational video to see what machine learning can do, and how could we also apply the same things here in robot uprising. But yeah, we're using reinforcement learning style machine learning, and we're using Unity 3D game engine as our kind of simulator and as the environment where we train the neural network. Some say Unity 3D is not maybe the best engine for like really precise physics, but then for our use case, at least this far, it has been good enough. And then Unity has made this ML Agents framework to abstract and help us create the machine learning. And then that kind of helps us a lot. It abstracts away a lot of these kind of really low-level machine learning stuff. And it does it pretty nicely, so we don't have to really dig into the PyTorch framework, which kind of is the backend for the machine learning stuff. But we are using these higher level abstractions, and at least it has been pretty easy compared to just really starting from scratch with machine learning and Python. So yeah, that's why we are kind of using Unity 3D and then the ML Agents framework to do the reinforcement learning. Of course, you can do whatever you like, but this is something we kind of provide an example how to easily start with the machine learning. And so in the Unity, we have made a simple arena, which is acting as our real world arena with the goals, the balls, the robots, and the friction. We try to match all of this to the real world arena so that the agent, which has been then trained on the arena, would also really work on the real life too. And then there's this ML Agents. We have set up really simple neural network for that. It's 2 layers deep. It's 256 hidden neurons per the layer, and we're using this PPO style model. I think that's I don't remember where the PPO came from, but you can search for the PPO style. It's the default one, which comes from Unity, and if you dive deeper to the ML Agents, there's a lot of examples, and we're using this push block basic example. So that's pretty much the what we actually do also in our robot pricing. In the example, there's a simple bot which pushes one ball to one goal, and that's kind of it. So we've really just continued from there and added 2 goals, 2 kinds of balls, and then enemy and friendly robots. And then we try to match the simulation with the real world. We train the agents, so little by little they understand in the simulation what happens, how to really gain points. And then I have a pretty some years old PC at my home, Intel i7, some like 16 gigs of RAM. And then with this setup, it takes something like 10 to 15 minutes to really train this one agent to push the ball to the goal. And it does a really good job in this 15 to 20 minutes of training. And then what happens is that there's kind of this neural network file that comes out. And then how do we then kind of integrate this neural network to the actual game is so that in the Python backend where we receive this video stream, we again parse the location of every robot, the rotations for those and all the balls. And then at the moment we are kind of generating, there's these observations from every agent. So the agent kind of looks to the right, to the left, to different angles around itself, and then it kind of sees ball there, it sees goal in the front, it sees enemy robot in the left. So then there's this kind of float values we come out as observations showing what the agent sees in the world and how what's the distance to that thing around. And then so we kind of create artificially the same observations in the Python side, and then we send these observations to the kind of a really downscale Unity environment where the ML agents framework is just waiting for observations. When it gets observations, it sends those observations to the neural network, and then the neural network predicts the next most likely action. And then we send that action back to the backend, and then the backend sends it back to the AI robot itself. And then the robot moves, and this kind of loop goes on. And we've got pretty nice results with it. So I have a video on YouTube showing that the agent really understands in real world also how to push the balls to the goal. And it's really cool to see that this the AI is really understanding things around it, and then we can port the simulation to real world. But of course there's a lot to do. It ain't perfect, but it really can be ported from the simulation to the real world, and it works. That's pretty much from the tech side. How the game runs in the real world, and then how do we kind of do the machine learning side, and how do we integrate that machine learning to the real world. And as again, I'm always would like to shout out that, hey, if you're interested in this, come and join us as a crew member or as a participant to the game. So this is really cool, and we have a nice community here. The teams are coming back to play again, and it's a really nice game. There's no limits for your advancement, and you can do really cool stuff with your logics and algorithms. But hey, thanks.
Silkkiset, bokserit, radiodiodi.
Syyli täällä. Avaatteko oven?
Ei ole vielä teidän vuoro ollenkaan. Nyt sinne pesään takaisin.
Minä tulen nyt.
Teidän vuoro on siis vappuaattona kello 15.
Minä tulen sitten silloin.
Katso Silly Show 30.4. kello 15.
Tervetuloa takaisin.
Tervetuloa.
What game was that? I just saw they put in the chat. Yes, welcome back. We are Robot Uprising, and we're here to talk to you still about our upcoming event and the future of AI and all sorts. And just again to reintroduce, for those who just tuned in, I'm Lewis, project lead. I'm a Brexit refugee. We could talk more about that later if you like, about the whole chaos with Brexit and moving country during Brexit and a pandemic. You couldn't choose the best time in history of history to move country. And I came from, I was living in Moscow before, so that's an even more. Yeah, I moved to Moscow during the whole, the Novichok poisoning in Salisbury.
Ooh.
And so I went to Moscow and people were like, you're a British guy, you've come to Russia during this thing, are you a spy? And it's like...
You're seeking that adventure.
Я не говорю по-русски.
KGB, I swear to God.
Yeah, I live right next to the Lubyanka as well. But yeah, no, welcome back. So we just had Juha, who was the AI lead, talking about how to kind of set up and get started for our Micro Invaders 2.0 game, an event happening in June, in which each team has 2 autonomous robots and it has to... using computer vision and ideally machine learning algorithms, they have to get the robots to push balls into goals. Some balls are positive, some balls are corrupt and will blow up your base. So it's quite an interesting game, and we stream it all live to Twitch throughout the weekend. So look forward to that, June 19th, June 20th, and it's on our website at robotuprising.fi. But yeah, so welcome back again. I'm here with Jake.
Hello, once again, Jake, on the microphone. I'm used to saying that on the stage, but here I am in the studio, the radio station. Nice to be here back, talking about some more AI-related stuff. Love that stuff. It's my favorite topics I could think about.
Jake does music, can you tell? And we have New.
Hi, it's New, a normal Asian girl. I cannot get bored with that line. I don't know why. But yeah, hi, nice to meet you all. Like not physically, but you can hear me.
We're with you in spirit.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm feeling good. How about you guys? After 1 hour of
on the chat,
radio.
Yeah. You should make a YouTube channel called Normal Asian Girl.
I mean, I was going to introduce myself as just some random guy, but if you're some Asian girl, I feel I can't really use that tagline. But yeah, no, Jake and New are new members of Robot Uprising as well. I've been with Robot Uprising actually since September last year, so I'm kind of new myself as well. But yeah, we're a really cool organization, entirely voluntary. Thanks, Brexit Boy, Seems Sam. All right, that's my new tag name, Brexit Boy. Find me on Instagram at Jarrett Smith. I mean, Brexit Boy. But yeah, so we are Robot Uprising. We are a very large voluntary community. We look to make robotics events happen, hackathons, there's all sorts of stuff to really get involved with. And because we just had this very senior tech-heavy segment with Juha, we'd like to talk a little bit more about the creative side of Robot Uprising. That's a big shout out to Chrisu as well, Christopher Soderstrom, who's our creative lead in Robot Uprising. He does a lot of really cool stuff for the community. You can see on our YouTube channel, for example, there's some video footage that we've had with previous partners that are shot in a very cinematographic. I don't know. I'm the English guy here. I should really know.
I don't know.
Cinematic. That's an easier way out of this. Honestly, it's annoying hearing like so many how Europeans speak English and how Americans speak English, and me being British. My vocabulary and accent and everything is becoming broken down. I'm going to have an English accent.
Get off your high horse.
I should adopt the Queen's English.
Hey.
Welcome to the British Broadcasting Television Service. But hey.
I want to hear more about, like, Chris, I'm new to the scene, and this creative world really, it took me off my feet, if that's a right metaphor to put.
What is this word?
We do a lot of cool creative stuff in Robot Uprising. So it's not just programmers who have a field day with the robots. The creative team can also take part in all sorts of content. such as we have our own merch line that we're working on. Chrisu and the team are working on an animation, which I believe, Jake, yourself, you may be doing voice lines and music.
I would love
for
to.
our upcoming animation, which is to really introduce the world of Robot Uprising. Because in Robot Uprising, we don't just do robots and hackathons. We create our own narrative, our own universe. We're set in 2043 in the corporate city-state of Helsinki. Ironically, in our story, which was made a few years ago, Helsinki's in lockdown under a barrier, which let's just say has become a very relatable experience. But yeah, we create this world, and so therefore even writers, presenters are also welcome. Storyboard artists, graphic designers, there's a lot of stuff to really do. And so, yeah, I mean, let's just talk about sort of the creative side of Robot Uprising, which Chrisu has been leading. Is there anything just off the top of you guys' head? This is a very impromptu question. But is there anything really cool and creative that you think would be a really fun thing to do with Robot Uprising?
Well, like I said, how I got introduced to Robot Uprising was I saw that one of those videos. You guys made like a video, and it was all about your lore. It had the 2043, and you had these AGIs, and you had actors in it. And I was like, holy shit, I want to be part of this. Right? I did some theater back in the day. Theater because it's actually more prominent sort of in Finland than if you're getting started in Finland, rather than acting in movies. Movies, I don't think are really that big here. That's my own personal perspective.
Yeah, the only time Helsinki appears in movies when it's pretending to be St. Petersburg.
Exactly. But I saw your production quality with your videos, and that really got me. You know, it's not only about the AI part and the programming and the technical side, but you have this whole creative world, and it's very, you know, intriguing and fascinating that you have these. Well, I'm just trying to signal you that I want to make one of those movies with you. So let's just do it.
We should have one upcoming very soon. I can't go into too many details, but we have a partner we are sort of collaborating with regarding the venue. And therefore part of the deal is we will be making new cinematic videos, which we're always looking to have more people on board with. And yeah, that is mostly shot, directed, and edited by Chrisu. So we're looking for always more people to help out with that. If you're a cameraman, if you're an audio guy or girl, or a video editor, you know, that's always people we like to have on board as well. And yeah, so Chrisu with his company as well, Physic, they're big hand. And yeah, we'll look to make more sort of films. I mean, if you guys have seen, for listeners, we do have our YouTube channel, Robot Uprising HQ. And you can see some pretty darn high quality videos that are made by Chrisu, which sort of display our Robot Uprising universe in a cinematic way. On a tangent on that as well, for the upcoming event for Micro Invaders 2.0 in June, we are looking to actually promote the teams as esports teams. Robot Uprising is trying to take the esports stage with our autonomous robot battles. And so therefore there's a ton of work and imagination needed to pull that off. How do you get your traditional programmers, guys who are working on the robots back home, and you show them as a new upcoming esports athlete? That's quite a big transition, quite a big project that we are looking to develop. So, I mean, have you ever paid attention to esports at all?
I mean, I don't consider it as a sport at all.
You take it across the line.
That's a hot take right away.
I know. When I brought this up, like, I think almost everyone gonna disagree with me, but hey, dude, this is not sport.
Yeah,
you don't even move a muscle.
I agree with you. It's not an athletic sport, but in the general sense of what I guess we define as sports, to me, it makes sense. You make money, you have competitors, they train for days and days and hours and months and years and years to compete and be better than others. So I think it matches those conditions.
It does. I just had that reaction, which would imply that I disagree with Nu, but I do. In fact, I am on Nu's side. I don't consider esports on the same level as athletics. However, that's not at all because of the amount of muscles you use or the physical activity. My main gripe with it is the fact that esports is ultimately a corporate endeavor. Uprise agent right here. It's more that to be a esports player, you effectively have to be a good on a game made by a company in a particular patch of that game. If the game suddenly decides that your character that you play is overpowered They can nerf your character into the ground, or they can, change the meta in a game. And therefore, that entirely, if you're good at javelin, nobody can stop that. You're not going to suddenly say, actually, javelins are discuses now. Actually, you have to throw the javelin while doing a backflip. Whereas with a game, you can be good with a character, and then suddenly they can say, we're going to change how this character works.
For sure. But there's also something very intrinsic into the human experience about gaming, about how we learn and stuff. When we're kids, we play games, we learn, we're moving puzzles around and we do things. So I think that having sports built around this experience or endeavor with playing games, I think it's very suitable and actually very fitting for the context of Robot Uprising when I watch the stream. And you have these robots and different teams, and you have introductions with the different teams, and they have their merchandise and logos and blah, 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 and the narrators. I think it's almost already at esports. It seems like the perfect setting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally love esports as a concept, and I do very much support it. But going to news statement of if it consider it a sport, no, I disagree. It can't be a sport. But anyway, but
yeah,
no, you're very...
I know what you mean about it's how it considered as e-sport, but but I basically cannot change my mind.
But yeah, it goes, a lot of people disagree that snooker and darts can't be considered sports because
I see a problem here. An AI could change their mind, but you can't. You see, humans are obsolete.
That's true. Yeah, and AI. Going back to our earlier conversation, for guys who are tuning in, AI, you can convince and override their ruling structure by giving it enough implicit bias data to change their mind. With a human, they could take their feelings and their standpoint to the grave with them, no matter what you say. So definitely. That's another interesting difference in AI. And,
today is Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday, but on Friday it is Vappu. And in regards to Vappu, actually, let's have a sip. Let's do ching ching. All right, Vappu. Blops asks, how would you celebrate Vappu in Uprise Universe 2043? That's for you, Lewis, not for me.
Yeah.
Well, given the situation with the pandemic, exactly the same. In Zoom, Karsarikanid, or whatever it's called.
No, you're supposed to be Uprise. You're supposed to be
Okay, yeah. No, with the Uprise, how would you celebrate Vappu in Uprise? Well, I think this is going to be a very long shot, but for any Persona 5 fans out there.
Oh, yeah, you got me off guard there, man. Shit.
People are into video games. For any Persona 5 fans out there, I believe Uprise would celebrate in the same way the Phantom Thieves would in Persona, which is basically you kind of hack into all of the screens in a city and you play a recording or a live stream of what it is you want to celebrate. Uprise would definitely hack over all the terminals, all the screens in a city, and be like, hey, here we are drinking at our cottage.
If there's one word you could use to describe Uprise, what is it?
One word to describe
One word.
Uprise. Justice.
Justice? Oh.
Wow.
I believe that's what Uprise represents.
Bossy. Bossy Uprise.
Okay, to you guys, one word to describe Downfall, what would you do?
What's on your mind?
Can it be 3 words?
Maybe
No.
2, one from you and one from
Okay,
me.
3 words.
The better option, that's what I say.
The better option. Wow, okay. Just to give a little feedback again for those who just tuned in about Uprise and Downfall, they're factions within the Robot Uprising universe. Uprise represents sort of hacktivism and not having AI and robotics control the future of humanity, putting an end to sort of further research and artificial general intelligence, creating AI that are equivalent to humans. Whereas Downfall are more about sort of safe and democratic AI, making AI better and safer to lead humanity to a prosperous future. And here with me in the studio is just me as the only Uprise agent, and Jake and New here are Downfall agents. Because amongst our participants in Robot Uprising and the crew, we are splitting people into Uprise and Downfall factions. Sort of, what do you relate with more? I'll be interested from what you guys have heard in the chat. If you do associate yourselves more with Uprise or Downfall, give a mention in the chat. But yeah, and we'll have more information and more graphics and more footage over time to sort of sway people to one side or the other.
I want to hear from you, Lewis and New, and also the chat. Just a general question. We're heading towards the end of the program. I want to know, generally speaking, we know that AI advancements are going forward, and we know that there's going to be transformations. how open are you to change regarding AI? How open are you to all the change that's going to come?
I'll let you take this one first.
Wow, that's a hard question. I don't know. Like, I think it all boils down to like personality, like what you believe.
What do you believe?
I mean, I believe in advancement, like technology would bring us to, we can do stuff that we cannot do back in the times, like back in my parents' times.
Mm-hmm.
But so, I mean, when we make those change, obviously that impacts our life. Like, for example, before social media, people were more needed, close-knitted community. But after social media, people just looking at their phone and just communicate through that. So my question is like, what will happen in the future when we already see the present like this? Like, so, I mean...
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the predictions?
I mean, I'm
trajectory?
50-50.
50-50?
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket and say like, hey, AI is good and we're gonna be the best race ever. Like, like I don't have that kind of like optimisticism.
You have to be careful because AGI might be listening to us from the future. So you have to say AI is the best, AI is the best. That's the only answer.
Yeah, that's a good point. Future AI could.
But what do you think, Lewis, about my question?
Well, just quickly say, yeah, I mean, future AI could access all old records and therefore eliminate anybody who was against AI. So if you believe AI overlords are possible in the future, get on their side now because they will hunt you down.
That's right.
Back to your original question. Can you repeat it again?
Yeah. So with the advancements in AI, in computing, in software, and all these other domains, and the predictions and trajectory that we have with AI and tech.
Am I optimistic?
Are you optimistic, pessimistic? What's your general overview?
Okay, well, you see, when I was younger, I considered myself a modern kid and was thinking, hey, future's going to look pretty cool. Pretty excited for it. Technology, very cool. Got my Nintendo Wii. Look at this motion sensor. Oh, perfect. Now I'm in my mid-20s. Yeah, I struggle to keep up with social media. I'm a boomer now.
Okay, boomer.
So, yep, okay, boomer right there. Yeah, no, it's a tricky question because I'm optimistic about the change that artificial intelligence can bring. I do see it, as Baldur has just said in the chat just now, if applied correctly, utilizing AI for education and healthcare, yeah, I can see it having overwhelming positives. My fear is more just how artificial intelligence will be implemented, who owns it, does the artificial intelligence represent the corporate company that developed it, or does it represent the better of humanity? And as we've seen from, without getting political here, as we've seen from the capitalist history of the modern era, profits do drive change. And so I do think that the future AI, when it's implemented, when it's developed, I don't really see it bringing change as it should. It will bring change that I think is driven by political and corporate interest. It will sort of become the new, instead of tax havens being the thing, AI manipulating stock markets might be the new upcoming thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being focused on, hey, I can cook your eggs in the morning before you get up and therefore optimize your trip to work.
Yeah.
There's so much, but that stuff is only going to come about from sort of personal AI development, people in their own homes. But
yeah,
we'll go on to a music break now. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this because we did have discussions in our latest Dystopian Decisions project about, for example, about how AI will sort of influence people's lives, which I think is an interesting thing to pick up on again. But yeah, we'll go into our final music break, really. Jake, do you want to talk about this final song that we're going to play?
Yeah, I want to just say quickly that thank you for your answers. That was very intriguing. I liked your answer. Loved it. That was great. We're going to take our last song from our EP called The Endeavor. If you want to find a link for it, it's on the chat. It's on ditto.fm/The Endeavor. The last track is called Heights. So, imagine yourselves being on a skyline, downfall, corporate offices. Enjoy.
or is it half empty? Think I'm a fool. My hands are spaghetti. I got nothing to lose, so I'm shooting confetti, and there's plenty, and already, so don't tempt me. No, no, baby, got my eyes on the prize. I can see no limit. A man in the sky, with a dream so vivid. Is it stupid or wise to be counting the minutes? Cause I'm reaching new highs, cause I can see through the gimmick. Heard from a bird you were running around. Brother, what you looking for? Slurring your words, trying to make your own crown. Others looking at you, feeling blood when you're third and your head going round. Sucker, what you cooking up? It is your turn, come on, learn, stop acting like a clown. Cover up your mess. It's all of us living in this life. It's all of us riding on this ride. Oh, what you got now? If I see, do I believe? Oh's my vision done play, man. If I flee, will I grieve? The grave is gonna take me. Smoke a fatty by a tree, yeah. I'll have the key that I need. I'll be freed from my creed. Proceed with the life that I lead. So I'm sipping on my 47, flying in the clouds. Had the funk from 11. That's how I got around. Found from earth deep heaven. When the guitar plays the sound, caught me on the best setting. I'm feeling so profound, yeah. Passing by like a running low in this never endless show. Oh, is it what we need or what we only want? Will I ever even know? Oh, only time can tell me, tell me. It's all of us living in this life. It's all of us riding on this ride.
Parasta housut jalassa. Radiodiodi.
Oli kyseessä sitten radiotekniikka, huipputeknologia, pesänteko tai lakiteksti. Tech on aina mukana. Tekniikan akateemiset.
And welcome back to our final segment here in Robot Uprising. It's been a blast. Thank you for listening. You guys had a good time, Nu and Jack?
Oh yes, this has been a blast. First time on radio.
First time meeting each other?
Oh yes, first time meeting each other and
no pressure.
First time getting to talk about AI in a sort of public context. Feels nice.
Yeah, I mean, these are all conversations we're having at home anyway.
Exactly.
So might as well talk about it on the radio. That's what people want to hear. But hey, so where do we go to in our last segment? Well, we're gonna have listen to my colloquialisms. We're going to have a final sort of refresher about what Robot Uprising is and where things are going and what we want from our listeners as well, really. And a big thank you again to Radio DOD for having us on board.
Indeed.
It's been a fantastic Vappu program. Very excited for it. I myself am going to Nuuksio this weekend. Hopefully, Minnan kalastamaan.
Yeah, you said it right. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So with Robot Uprising, really, what we are kind of here for mostly is... in the chat, no, the next Robot Uprising event does not have a banana throwing competition. However, we could easily include that. So
That's what Robot Uprising is all about.
I mean, yeah, we always like to say in Robot Uprising, when somebody comes up with a crazy idea, we don't say, hey, that's a crazy idea. We say, okay, and what are we going to add to this crazy idea?
Let's have robots throwing bananas.
Having robots throwing bananas, I mean, yeah, that would take a lot of investment. But,
but you were saying?
Segued there. So yeah, in Robot Uprising, we are looking for more people to join us. You can check us out on the website, robotuprising.fi, and on the main page, we have the recruitment form. So come sign up. You can speak with me, speak with Jake, speak with Nu, join the crew, and we're always working on sort of new and fun projects. And also we have an event coming up in June called Micro Invaders 2.0, where we have 9 teams, 8 teams, 30 participants with training their bots at home. Our 3D, just a shout out as well to Semi for making the bot designs. Our robots are 3D printable. You can make the whole robot at Audi for €3. Just search on Thingiverse Micro Invaders bot. But yeah, you can create the robots yourself and we can give you the electronics. But so our upcoming event, 9 teams, all streamed live on Twitch. And the robots are autonomous using computer vision, machine learning, decision trees, whatever method the participants choose to do. And, well, we need help to make this all happen, as we always do. Robot Uprising is driven by what the community wants to do. So if people want to make a banana throwing robot competition, we can put our efforts into that. If people want to use Robot Uprising to sort of destabilize the Russian political system, we can do that. Though that will require a lot more investment. So shout out to any sponsors who may be listening. We are always looking for sponsors. That is something I want to briefly just talk about, because as we all know, events during COVID have been, the events industry, the creative industry in general has really been let down and sidelined. I'm not saying like just in Finland, I mean all over the world, you know, governments and organizations haven't really given that much support to these sorts of industries, and they are really important. So, and it's the same with Robot Uprising. We very much would like to do events much more frequently, but that requires A, a lot more crew on board, and B, we're looking for sponsors all the time, and we always happy as well to have people on board who, if maybe you don't want to be a programmer, maybe you don't want to be an artist, maybe you just want to practice your sales pitches, you know, that's completely fine. We're having meetings with various companies to explain our concept. It's tricky though in COVID because it's an unstable situation. Obviously a lot of companies don't want to be involved with anything that's a live event, full stop.
That sounds all awesome. But how about, like, let's say now someone's listening and they're like, hell yeah, Robot Uprising. If they want to get involved, give them a quick burst of information. How do they get involved?
Okay, you just quickly go straight to robotuprising.fi. On the very front page with the video, you have the text and it says 2021 recruitment. Just click on that and you get an application which has some pretty cool, crazy questions such as, why do you like robots? Well, very crazy, unpredictable question. But also, if you have any cool, fun ideas, things you'd like to do in Robot Uprising, you can voice them. And then quite simply, our team will follow up. We'll have a chat and you'll be welcome on board. We operate through Slack mostly, like most organizations these days. And yeah, we look to have fun events. I mean, recently, you guys both participate in the Robot Uprising Zoom Olympics program. How did you guys find that?
That was good. It was kind of like dystopian decisions. You had a team with Uprising Downfall, and then you had different decisions to make, just like in dystopian decisions. I enjoyed it. Like you said, it's a bit, you know, something different to the whole ordinary orthodox Zoom meeting that you have.
We're done with Zoom meetings, you know, no matter, I'm convinced, like we've made Zoom cool, and that is not a statement you hear on any radio program. We've made Zoom cool by adding our own OBS virtual cameras, which we can show any listeners as well how to do if you want to use your camera to spice up some visual effects. But we use that to hold our own, I don't know if any listeners, if you've seen Taskmaster or Sormestari, I think it is in Finnish.
I haven't heard of it myself.
It's a TV show where basically there's a taskmaster who gives crazy tasks and you get points for doing said tasks. So for example, we had on Zoom, one of our starting tasks was make the largest salmiakki tower and then nominate a person on your team, and whoever fits the most salmiakki in their mouths on camera gets the points.
I'm going to contact Human Rights for that.
Yeah, I think a case can be made there. I mean, I was slightly worried watching Chrisu. He managed to fit, was it 38, 40 salmiakki in
What if he started choking right there?
I was sitting there at home thinking, if he chokes, my career is over. But but yeah, these are programs that we like to do. Moving forward, obviously, coming out of pandemic and coming out of Zoom, everybody pay attention to see Zoom's stock prices plummet as we come out of the pandemic. We are looking to have more sort of physical meetups. We go to outdoors, we have cottage trips, and we will be creating the new event very soon. And so if you want to have a part in set design, making our venue more immersive, whether that's through sort of secret clues or ambience, music, presentation, or just simply artwork or whatever for the walls. There's lots to be done there. So, I mean...
Yeah, I think you forget to mention the engagement team that just came up from last few weeks.
I did forget to mention that. My lovely, lovely engagement team. In Robot Uprising, it's not just the creative team and the programming team. We have a new engagement team, in which New is also a part of. And the engagement team, sort of, their tasks is to it's sort of to bring everybody together, really.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of organizations, a lot of society in general these days has been lacking the initiative to really connect people. And so that's why in Robot Uprising, we also have an engagement team. And the kind of role of the engagement team is to connect the other teams in various ways. So if you would like to host a game show, that is something that we are also sort of working on and considering in Robot Uprising, alongside the Robot Uprising Zoom Olympics, as well as if you're interested in game development in general, we're happy to help you support with that. So I just think in general, there's a lot of cool stuff to get involved with. But ultimately, Robot Uprising is, if anybody out there wants to join, Robot Uprising is a space for you to work on what you love most. It's not a community where you're told, okay, you've joined, this is what you have to do now. It's not like that. You join and you simply work on what it is you'd like to bring to Helsinki, really. And beyond that, we'll be looking to have events in Tampere at some point, because we have contacts out in Tampere who'd be willing to support us. And we do always get applications from all around the world. We had a person from Canada apply to join the team recently. And I was sitting here thinking, how's that going to work? But yeah, Robot Uprising Piste.fi, come check us out. And also on social media as well. Instagram and Facebook are our primary platforms. But yeah.
I mean, myself, my view, joining Robot Uprising, you get to meet a lot of interesting people, and most importantly, you can learn from each other. You can learn from other team members. People have different areas of expertise. So someone knows something about design, someone knows something about marketing, and then you can learn a lot of things by just seeing this collection of perspectives. But Lewis, before we go there, how can people find more about you if they want to hear more about what's going on with you?
Oh, more about me? Oh no, I don't like social media. Instagram, Jarrett Sphere, Facebook, Lewis Jarrett. Hello. But no, if you go onto our webpage, we have an About Us section, which does need a bit of updating actually. Our new members to do a good photo shoot and get you guys on the website.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's ways you can keep up with us individually as well. Jake with Vivid Music Studios. New, are you active on any social media?
I think I'm becoming more like of older generation.
I'm in that mood as well. Honestly, using social media today is the first time I've used it in a while.
Yeah.
Though I did host a Would I Lie to You section on Instagram a while ago where I was saying things like, I was once kicked off a train somewhere near, where was it? Volgograd in Russia because I snuck on drinks onto a train. Would I lie to you? Truth or lie? Take a guess. Find out the answer soon. But yeah, we'd like to do things like that with the crew as well. All these kinds of fun and games.
Yeah.
So yeah, event coming up June, Micro Invaders 2.0. Stay tuned. And if there are any teams listening who would like to get involved with this event and to sort of be part of that experience, you are most welcome to simply send an email to info@uprisingpiste.com. I can't remember if it's that's bad of me. Well, the contact email is on the website.
Yeah.
So we can say that much.
Yeah.
So, well, hope you guys have had a blast. We've explored some very deep concepts here about the future of AI and its involvement. And any final notes from you guys as well?
I just want to say this has been a blast, and it's been nice getting to know you guys in front of me as well as the audience. And a big thank you to Radio Diodi. They hosted us very nice and facilitated us with their studios. It's been fantastic. It's awesome. And I'm always down to talk more about AI and things like that, AI or music or whatever. So you can catch me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Jacob Costa or Jericho Man. So yeah, thank you very much to everybody.
Yeah, thanks. And for me, it's like this is the first experience that I get onto a radio, and I met the guys that I only usually see through Zoom, so which is great because
We're real people. That's amazing.
because I know that they are not robots.
Don't be so sure.
Yeah, no, the future of Robot Uprising is to have the whole crew automated and the games automated. And
Ooh.
maybe one day we'll get flamethrowers in the competition. That's an ultimate
Such a
goal as well. But yeah, so if you want to be a potential crew member or team member, future competitions, or if you're a sponsor, give us a shout out on Robot Uprising. Big thanks to Krisu, Juha, Semi, everybody in the
Matias
team.
Pasonen for making the tracks. And talking about tracks, aren't we going to hear a little outro track that he made?
We are going to have an outro track. When we started this program, for anybody who was been here from the beginning at 5 o'clock, when we started the program, we had the Uprise track, and we are going to end this on the Downfall track, which is kindly made by Vivid Music Studios, by Jake and Matu. So that's it from us.
That's it from us.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Listening.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good Vappu. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sitä parasta bestiä. Radio Diodi.
Show.